The 67 Figure Show, episode 43. Let's hit it.
Broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun outside Phoenix, Arizona. This is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Tired of working so hard and having no time? Take your six-figure practice and turn it to a thriving seven-figure enterprise. And now, your host, author, speaker, mentor, and strategist, Frank Bria.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I'm your host, Frank Bria, and today we are going to have a special episode, a series of trainings that we are talking about, which are going to be the 12 critical projects that you need to execute in your business in order to hit 100K a month in your service business using a high-ticket program. There's a lot of focus that we spend on the design up front, but we are going to be focusing on one of those projects today. So we're going to cut over to training on one of those projects. And after the training's done, come back, hang with us, and I will give you a way for you to get a copy of some of this training for yourself. And we'll turn it over to there. Hey everyone, it's Frank Bria here, and I am going to be training you today. This is first of the 12 trainings that we're going to do over the next 12 days. I'm calling this the 12 days of seven figures. We can do a little Christmas in July thing or whatever. But today we're going to talk about your application funnel. I'm going to walk you through what that looks like, and I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to attach a document, a Google document for you so that you can review the notes of the training as well. That'll be kind of the best way to get this information. It should be a comment here in the program. But this is one of the 12 projects you need to be able to do, execute on in order to get to seven figures. And again, let me remind you again, I'll say this probably at the beginning of each training, but these are not in any particular order. You need to execute all 12 of these projects, but the order in which you execute the projects really depends on you. It depends on your business, depends on where you are at a particular time. And so that's just something that you need to think through. You need to work with a coach on. You need to, think about what areas you really need to handle first in order to make that work. So we're going to kind of go through it that way. First of all, an application funnel, what's the purpose? Let me define for you what I think an application funnel is. An application funnel is essentially a process that takes leads who are interested in a sales conversation and helps you convert them to sales. So anything in that process, from interested lead all the way to conversion, is included in that funnel. So I know for a lot of people, an application funnel is literally just, schedule an appointment, fill out an application, and then that's it. But I want to define the funnel as the entire process. So we're going to cover a lot of ground here. There's 8 steps to an application funnel. So let's talk about the first one. Okay, your first step is the scheduling page. Okay, now this page should include a video, not just a calendar. It should include a video from you. That video should basically describe what to expect on the call. Okay, what the program does, in other words, what the outcome is that you create in that program, qualifiers and disqualifiers. So this is for you if, this is not for you if, and some kind of encouragement to take action now. So, this doesn't have to be scarcity in the sense of, this is a ticking time bomb that's going to go off, but you should talk through the decision-making process with people and give them an honest incentive to do something now. In other words, hey, you're going to continue to be stuck if you don't take action now. This doesn't have to be, this offer is only good for 48 hours or something fake like that. Everyone knows that's not true. So just talk about the mindset of action taking. Okay. So the page should also include some kind of automatic scheduler that's going to allow the prospect to pick a time with you or your sales staff. Okay. Now, I want to pause here for a second because a lot of people are like, wait a minute, do we do application first, then schedule an appointment, or schedule an appointment, then the application? This is a good question. The honest answer is you need to test and find out what works best for your audience. But in general, I feel like it's better to get an appointment on the calendar booked with someone and then review their application. It'll put basically the powers in your hands. The powers in your hands to review the application, make a determination if it's a good fit, cancel the application, whatever. If they don't fill the application out, then again, it's on you to follow up, have your staff or your team follow up. Hey, we didn't get an application. But again, you still have an appointment in the books. There's a lot of time this attitude about, I don't have the time to deal with garbage sales conversations. Okay. Once you get past 7 figures, you can have that attitude. But when you're trying to get to 7 figures, I don't want you to have that attitude. I want you to take control. Now, that doesn't mean you should get on the phone or get on a sales call with people who aren't qualified. Cancel the appointment. If you get the application in and they're not a good fit, cancel the appointment. But get the appointment in the calendar first, because it puts you in control of the process. If you have to chase people to schedule an appointment, you have lost control of the process. Okay. So step 1, scheduling page, video and a scheduling calendar. All right. Step 2 is the application page. So they should go from scheduler to an application. Make this automatic. Don't send them a link and make them come back. It should be literally the thank you page of your scheduler. Figure out a way to make it work. You might have to build some logic in or whatever. Again, a lot of people think, well, why don't I just have the application with the logic that qualifies people out? I don't like automatic declines from applications. You really need to have someone review it, because a lot of times people will put stuff in and it's wrong, or it doesn't make sense, or it's like you still want to, based on the other things they've said, you still want to talk to them. So I don't like the idea of using automated logic to disqualify people. Have someone actually read it. Okay. But here are what should your application include? Okay. Name, email, some information about them or their business. Okay. Brief. They don't have to write an essay here, just very brief. In fact, you might instruct them, less than 4 sentences or something like that. Okay. Number 2, goals for themselves that are relevant to your program. So ask them, what are you trying to achieve in your business? What are you trying to achieve in your personal life, in your relationships, in your health? Whatever is relevant to your program. Okay. Number 3, any prerequisites or must-haves before they can start the program. This is the time to ask. So if you know that you don't work with people who don't make less than $10,000 a month, ask them what their income is. If you know that people aren't going to get good results in your program unless they have a certain social media following, ask them about it. The number of clients, their income, whatever it is that they have to have as a prerequisite, this is the time to ask. Okay. Now, these are must-haves, not nice-to-haves, must-haves. If you know, hey, this program doesn't work unless you whatever. Okay. This is the time to ask. Then some additional questions that I like to ask that inquire about motivation or the prioritization of solving this problem. Okay. So number 1, is this something you plan to do now? I love that question. Okay. It basically gets people to the, are you just kind of toying around with the idea, or is this serious? Number 2, can you focus your attention on this problem for the next 6 months? Even if your program is only 12 weeks, you want to see if this is a priority for them. Okay. Then I like to ask questions that inquire about their coachability or whether they take action in general. Okay. So number 1, I like to ask the question, describe yourself. Are you an action taker, a procrastinator, or a worrier? I like to know what I'm getting myself into. By the way, people are uniquely honest on that question. I find that people tend to not lie about what that is. If given a task to complete, will you commit to do it in 48 hours? That is a great question. It sets the expectations for what your program is going to be like, the expectations you have for them getting things done, for taking action. And then finally, this is the question that a lot of people have. You want to inquire about their capability to make an investment. Yes, you want to ask. Okay. Number 1, I like to ask, Can you afford to invest in yourself or your business, knowing that programs start at blank? And put a number in, okay? Put the minimum payment you would accept to get started. Okay, but put a number in. If you know you're not going to talk to people for less than $3,000, let them know up front, because you do not want to get on the phone with someone who's not willing or can afford. Okay, that's the word that's so important here. Can you afford to invest? Not are you going to invest, but can you afford? Generally, people will be pretty honest with you about this, because they don't want to say, no, I can't afford. People have some pride around the money that they have. They may not spend it with you, but they can afford it. Okay. And then, because you want to get a couple of angles on this, get a sense of what their intent is around investment. I like to ask the question, if you were told to invest $1,000 in advertising, would you say yes, say, well, maybe, but let me analyze the return on the investment, or no, that's just too expensive? Okay. Get a sense of whether people make investments in themselves. Now, granted, that question is only relevant to business coaching, but think about something similar in health, or you get the idea. Okay. You're asking about whether people would make an investment in themselves. It doesn't have to be $1,000. You can change the number to whatever you want. Now, here are some things your application should not include under no circumstances. Number one, don't ask questions that are obvious or dumb. Okay. This is such a pet peeve of mine. You have an application. Do not waste your time asking people, are you ready to make some money? Or, is this something that you care about? Don't ask a dumb question. If it's obvious and there's no other answer but yes, don't bother. You're not collecting information. It's a waste of your time. And number two, don't ask questions that you don't do anything with the information. If this is a question with which you will literally not even read the answer, do not bother. You're not just trying to create a gauntlet for people to go through. You're trying to collect information that will help you screen out calls. So just don't waste your time on questions seriously think about it. Am I really going to do something with this information? Am I going to collect it somewhere? Am I going to take action on it in some way? If not, don't ask. All right. Step 3, confirmation page. So your prospect should go to some kind of a thank you page after they submit the application, and it should do 2 things. Number 1, remind them of the appointment and to be ready. Okay. Block it out now. That's what I like to say. Block out the time now while you're thinking about it. Okay. And then number 2, encourage them to download 2 pieces of information that will prepare the person for the call. 1, a case study, and 2, an overview of your program. Okay. Now, a case study is not just a random testimonial. Don't just get a random testimonial from someone who's like, hey, Frank is awesome, I really like him. That's not what you're looking for. A case study is someone who has a situation, a complication, and has resolved the complication with a particular outcome. Break it down like that. We can talk about case studies later, but it's more than just a testimonial. And then, yes, send a 1-page overview of your program. Even if you might have multiple options for people when they actually get on the call, introduce your flagship high-ticket program with a 1-pager, including the investment level. Do not let the price of your program be a surprise on the call. It will stall your sales process. There's a lot of people who say, don't share it, don't give it, people will be scared off. Honestly, if you're in that situation, you're going to be spending your entire sales call trying to talk people into an investment. Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. Have more respect for them. By this point, they should know that you're outcome focused and that there's an investment. Let them know. If it scares them off, don't talk to them. It's fine. It's totally fine. But you want to communicate this with people up front. And by putting it in a 1-pager, it's really low threat. Okay, but it should be no surprise. Encourage your prospect to review this material in advance. Make it homework. Okay. All right. Step 4, send reminders. 2 of them, one 24 hours in advance of the appointment and one 1 hour in advance of the appointment. If you want to enhance email reminders with text messages, even better. I would suggest like something like James Pelton's text alert system, mobile text alerts, anything. Make sure to provide a link to join the call in each of the messages. Also, relink them to the case study and the program overview and remind them to review it in advance. So they'll get it 3 times, once on the thank you page and twice in the reminders. Okay. Make sure you send out those reminders. Step 5, create a pipeline entry for your prospect. Now, this is a scenario where I think a lot of people lose out on a lot of money. You need to have a sales pipeline system or some kind of CRM to track the sales process. You know, a lot of you have things like ActiveCampaign, which has like a built-in deals management system you don't even use. So make sure you have some kind of sales pipeline system. Create a deal or whatever. Sometimes in ActiveCampaign it's called a deal. Every pipeline system has a different name for it, but it's an opportunity. So create an entry for every sales opportunity. This should be automatically created when someone submits an application to you and they get to the thank you page, and it should notify you or your sales team upon creation. Okay. In that record, include a deal size, like price of the flagship program, or if you have different application funnels, have them create different deals based on different products that you have. Include the sales call, time, and date. All right. That should all be automatically entered into the record. Now, this is something a lot of people do not do. You or your sales team should review the entry at the first opportunity after it has been created. You want to review the application. You want to do research on the prospect before the call, know who they are. This is something that in our industry, we blow. So many sales trainer people, basically tell you, don't worry about it. People should show up knowing that your time is valuable and you're going to be spending time. No, spend time to research the person in advance. Have the respect to know that they're coming to you and asking you questions. Do the research. Do your due diligence. Don't just show up blind to the call. Never show up blind to the call. Know your prospect in advance. Okay. Now, you're not going to do that for a $200 sale, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about high ticket sales. You need to know what that looks like. Okay. All right. Step 6, hold a sales call. Now, I'm not going to get into sales call training today. That's something we can talk about later, but there's basically 2 really good variants for how you do a sales call. One is the one call close, where you or your salesperson holds a 60-minute strategy session and you close the call on that call. You try to close the deal on that call. Or a 2-step close. Now, some people use a 2-step close as an initial qualifier and then reschedule a step 2 call later. This needs to be like a warm live handoff in a 2-step close. So it's still a 1-call experience for the person, but it's in 2 steps. So you have a call setter hold an initial 30 or 45-minute call in order to review readiness, applicability, and their desire to invest before handing off the call to you or to a closer. So the prospect has to commit to certain things. Are they going to put the time aside? Do they have the money for this? Is this something they're going to work on? Are they going to be, follow directions? Those are the commitments they need to make before they actually hand off. And the goal is to have you or basically your more valuable sales resources only speak with fully qualified and ready prospects. Okay. Now, each of those variants has pros and cons. So I'm not going to get into that today, but there's 2 options. If you want to talk about it more, let me know, and we can hold the training on the 2-step close. And it's a really interesting dynamic. Okay. Now, at the end of the call, at the end of the sales call, you need to document the outcome in your sales pipeline or CRM. Okay. Here are the different things that could happen. you could, one, you won the deal, you lost it, you downsold, they're thinking about it, they were a no-show, a cancellation, or it was rescheduled. Okay, those are all of the options. Now, if you have canceled the call in advance, mark it as cancellation because they weren't a good fit. So, say that you canceled it, just to make sure that you're marking and closing out the records and you're reviewing the applications in advance. Okay. Now, if the prospect wants to think about it, and that sometimes happens on a one call close, you don't actually close the call, they want to think about it. Don't resist this too much. I mean, try to resolve as many objections as you can in that call, but don't get upset if people need to spend more time to think about this. Like, that happens, okay? But set up a new call no more than 48 hours out. Because if a prospect needs more than 48 hours to think about it, they're not really in decision-making mode. They're stalling. And that's fine. Don't pressure them. What I like to do is I say, listen, it sounds like if we're not going to make a decision about this in 48 hours, it sounds like a no for now. So let's reconnect later. You reach out to me when you're ready to move. Okay? That's how we end it. I don't do that. I'm thinking about it for more than 48 hours. Okay. All right. Step 7, use a downsell. I want to talk about this because this is a step in the application funnel that is not done very well. A downsell, let's talk about what the definition is, okay? It's a lower price product which is offered to your ideal clients only who are not yet ready to make a decision, okay? A downsell is not something you hand off to people who aren't good clients that you're just trying to get some money out of, okay? It's not what a downsell is. A downsell should specifically be for people who otherwise would have been good fits for your program. It should be some kind of a do-it-yourself, trimmed down version of your original program. Don't make it something totally different, okay? Now, when you complete that downsell, follow up. Follow up with those customers and do it on a regular basis, because the point of a downsell is to give people a taste of the value that you can provide and give them an opportunity to see that they need help, that they can't do this on their own. So it builds credibility and desire on their side, but you can't do that if you don't follow up. So follow up on a regular basis. Share the wins. Like, there should be an automated email sequence that goes out that basically says, hey, in the high ticket program, this group just accomplished these amazing things. We're really excited for them. What have you done lately? Like, have you been able to accomplish this? Tell us yes or no. Okay? Because you're trying to encourage people to realize that they would have been someplace else had they actually purchased your product. That's the purpose of a downsell. Okay? It gives them credibility, but allows you to follow up. So if they decide to upgrade, credit their investment towards the full, like, make that an incentive so that you don't want people to feel like they lost out on something by waiting. Don't punish them. Just say, great, awesome. So, it'll be like you had made the right decision from the beginning. You just lost a little bit of time. Okay. So credit their investment towards the full price program. And then finally, step 8, follow up. Now, wow, this is an area where so much work needs to be done. Okay. Not all ideal prospects are going to buy on that very first conversation. A lot of entrepreneurs think that they shouldn't waste their time with anyone who takes more than one call. I could not disagree more with that sentiment. It is so toxic. Like, think about it. How many, like, if you went to go buy a car, how many times do you visit the car dealer before buying? Maybe you did it in one deal, but in one visit, but did you ever take 2? And imagine what you would have thought as the buyer of that car if the dealer had decided to, like, not talk to you on your second visit. Would anyone ever do that in real life? Okay, this is ridiculous. Follow up. Some people are going to take more than one call to close, more than one contact. In fact, in reality, most people buy after several contacts. And when we only talk to them once, we are leaving so much money on the table. Okay. So this is where your CRM and your sales pipeline is really going to come into play, because every 3 weeks you should be following up. So ask questions. Be curious as to where people are in the process. Don't just push for another call. Don't just say, hey, let's jump on another call. Just ask, where are you in the process? Okay. And ask if the prospect is getting what they wanted from not taking action. In other words, are you where you wanted to be? Okay. And then if they say no, then say, well, let's jump on a call and fix that. Okay. Continue to follow up every 3 weeks, or if your prospect has another timeline that they want to use that. Like maybe they say call back tomorrow, or, don't call me for 6 weeks or whatever that time frame is, but every 3 weeks otherwise, until they ask you to just stop talking to them. Like, okay, keep following up until they tell you no. That's the way it should work. All right. So that's it. I am going to put in the comments here a link to a Google Doc that has the entire notes of this training on here, because I know we covered a lot in 25 minutes. I want you to have access to those notes. But remember, an application funnel is not just getting the call booked. That really the hard work starts then. So I want you to think through that entire process. This Google Doc will also have a graphic formatted workflow for what that application funnel should look like all the way up until the call is booked. And then it's about CRM and sales pipeline. If you have any other questions about that after you've reviewed the notes, put them in here. I'm happy to chat with you about it. Want to make sure you get all the information you can here. And this is, again, one of the projects you really need to execute well. I don't know if it's the first one you should do, but it's one of them. So review it, do a little bit of a self-assessment of where you are with respect to what a good application funnel should look like, and see if this is a project you might need to fill the gaps in on. All right. Thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate you sticking with me. See you. I see Liz and Christy and David and a bunch of other folks have joined in. So thanks so much for that. Hope this was useful, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, everyone, that's it for today. And 2 things that you want to do. Number 1, if you have not had a chance to join our Facebook group, you need to be able to do that. This is really where we're going to be discussing a lot of this stuff in detail. You can actually, in the Facebook group, get written documentation of the project that we just discussed. So where you want to go to is facebook.com/groups/high ticket program. All together in one word, no breaks, no dashes, high ticket program. So facebook.com/groups/high ticket program. That link is below the video or in the show notes page. If you're out and about listening to audio, come on back to click on through and join. Absolutely free. Other thing that we want to offer you is called our 12-week high ticket program Black Book. This is over 60 pages of standard operating procedures for designing, launching, executing your high ticket program. The way you get that is you go to frankbria.com/blackbook. Again, the link is below here for you to grab that. High ticket program is our Facebook group. The Black Book is our free 60-page standard operating manual for how to run a group program. Go get that at frankbria.com/blackbook, and we will see you there. Thanks again so much for being with us today. We're going to have great content again coming up soon, so stick with us for our next episode, and we'll see you soon. All right, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.